You're listening to KAOS 89.3 FM in Olympia, and that was Northern Cree, new to the studio, and that one's called For the People, Loyalty to the Drum, Powwow Songs, recorded at Rocky Boy. We have Donald Vann on the line. Mr. Vann, how you doing?
Well, we're doing fine over here. How y'all doing up there?
Yeah. We're doing really good, and it's been really nice weather last couple months.
Yes, we're kind of still enjoying the last leg of our summer over here also, too. So it's been beautiful days here.
Yeah, I was just want to give you a little chance to introduce yourself and then talk a little bit about, I would love to know how you got started on your journey of being an artist. If you're not familiar with his paintings and his artwork, we'll get you a web page and check it out. It's amazing. I was introduced about 15 or 20 years ago, and used to do more of the powwow scene myself. But when I lived in Fort Lauderdale, we used to visit a little bit, and I just fell in love with your prints. I got a couple of them hanging in my house. Oh,
well, I'm glad you're enjoying some of my artwork there, and I'm sure you've been looking at some of the newer ones that we've done just over the past, and then here recently also too.
So we can tell our audience a little bit about Donald.
Donald, yes.
Yeah. So you're a Cherokee artist out of Oklahoma.
Yes, I am full-blood Cherokee. I have a little echo in the background here. Maybe it'll go away. I am full-blood Cherokee from here in Oklahoma. And I've been doing this, going on well over 50 years now. And it's one of the love that I have that the Great Spirit has given to me, that I believe that he wanted me to be an artist, and hopefully some of the things that I'm doing out there might help people spiritually, and then also make them feel good by looking at some of my work.
So how did you get started and what were some of the first inspirations, some of the mediums that you used?
I've always dabbled in watercolor. I started, back in the days when I was about 11, 12 years old, I believe it was, and I was involved in a project for school, and one of the teachers noticed that I had this talent that she might be able to help me with, and so she said, "Can you do this for my church project? And if you do, I'll pay you some money." And that's when I thought, well, if I can make money doing this, maybe I can do it for the rest of my life.
Wow! And so, what was that piece that you created?
Well, actually, I still remember. It was one of the religious pieces that she had wanted for the some project that she was working on with the church members, and it was a drawing. It was just a simple black and white drawing of Christ on the cross, and she paid me 50 cents, and I thought that was a ton of money back in those days. So I thought, hopefully I can do well enough where I can make a living doing this.
And you've been traveling on the road for a long time, and I know that you're based out of Austin, I think. You have a gallery or something in Austin, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yes, I was there in Austin. a little over 40 years, I believe it was, give or take. And we had several galleries. Actually, later on, we had one gallery in Scottsdale, Arizona, and then also one in Dallas, and our main gallery there in Austin, of course, and then and we had a seasonal gallery on Martha's Vineyards, and back in those days, it just kept us so busy that we decided that maybe we should try to help other people who are showing possibilities that they might do well and are serious for themselves doing art.
All right. So, what are some of your inspirations? How do you start creating? You know, because there's such great detail in your work, and there's a lot of mysticism. It's really amazing to like I said, I had a few pieces in my house, and I could just stare for hours at them, and just they bring me back to that time.
Those out there listening, if they'd like to take a look at our website at donaldvancompany.com, or you can get to our website simply at donaldvan.com too. They can see what we're talking about. Hopefully, maybe they can feel the mysticism and the spirituality in some of my work, and I believe that that's very important to be open at heart, to be open to what the Creator has given to us here in this little time that we spend here to learn and to teach others. And a lot of times, the greatest learning comes from a spirituality standpoint. And I'm a big fan of our Creator, the Great Spirit. And a lot of times I joke around and say, hey, you know, the best friends, we both kid around a lot, and we run around together. And he shows me some of these little things that inspire. You'd be surprised what can inspire, and they'll trigger into something that's very spiritual onto whatever you may be doing. It may not be a painting. It could be woodwork. It could be anything with heart and soul in it. And if you do good with it, then the Great Spirit gave you that knowledge and that origin for people to feel, and sometimes hold in their hand and feel the abundance of the spirituality that's involved in your creation. And I think that's what being a person who works with their hands and create things is about. Other people have other talents too, but it doesn't necessarily always have to be a painter. As I said, it could be anything that you're good with your hands with, and I feel that from other people's work, be it sculpture or anything else that they did well, and I always tell them that the Great Spirit was talking to you, was guiding your hands when you were doing this, because you can feel it, and it makes you feel good.
That's amazing, and so some of your you know, like from what I'm hearing, is that the Great Spirit inspires you a lot. But is there growing up as a young person, obviously your heritage, your Cherokee heritage, really is influence of a lot of your pictures and your drawings, and I know that you do mysticism. I've seen a lot of you know, fairies and things like that. I mean, amazing work. I mean, it's hard for me sometimes to know that you use watercolors, you know, because they're so, like, I know how I use them. That's why, and but like it's like a photograph.
Oh, well, thank you for that. I've always dabbled in a watercolor medium because that's what worked well for me, and then also that was readily at hand when I was first starting to dabble in color back in my grade school days. Of course, we didn't have the high quality equipment to work with back in those days as we do now. But they worked at the time, and I believe that it was supposed to be, because you have to start somewhere and you have to train yourself. And I believe being your own teacher, you are your own best teacher. Nobody can tell you how to feel when you're doing this piece over. Nobody can tell you how to approach it, but they can give you the little pointers on how to maybe improve a color, or little things of that sort. Maybe somebody else who has a lot more years in whatever artistic area that they are working in may see it a little bit more improvement here and there, but that's all they can do is give you that few small pointers, but the rest is up to your heart and your soul.
So again, I know like all your art is like your babies, but is there one in particular that sticks out that I don't want to say it's your favorite, but it's it's like yeah, it's your favorite, I guess. That's what I'm trying. If you have one, I mean, I it would be hard for me to choose.
Well, sometimes it's kind of like creating something alive. They're all favorites, and even the ones that you're not too happy with. When you see it a few years later, you realize, hey, I didn't really care for this when I first finished it, but now I took a break from it. I think I really like it now, and to answer the other question earlier about the fairies, the little people, the mysticism of those, a lot of people did not really understand how Cherokee could be involved with fairies, the European-style fairies. But that was the only way that I could come up and convey the little people, because that's what the fairies are. They're little people also too. But we have a totally a different way of describing the little people that we're familiar with in our Cherokee stories. And then also the elders, how they talked about them was totally different. They didn't have wings, but I had to use the European approach of the little people, the fairies, to kind of educate people into it in the beginning. And I didn't really kind of like that. But that was the only way to kind of educate people into that later part, to the point now where I do little people. They don't have wings, but it's nice to, and then it's fun to do the European-style fairies, because actually I do believe in the little people, their power, their teachings. They're great teachers, and I do believe that there probably are winged beings here too. I've never seen one, but enough people do talk about them, and it kind of fitted right in after a while, and people finally got the idea, and they finally said, "Oh, okay, we understand now what you were trying to say." And now I can do the Indian little people, which are very sacred beings, and elders always said that it was not a good thing to talk about them unless an elder started the conversation first about the little people, or the stories about them. Little kids sitting around were told it's not good to talk about them because they still don't know nothing about them, because these are sacred. These are sacred spirits, and they are connected with the Creator, the Great Spirit that gives them the power to teach us things if we will only listen. And they will show themselves to the right people who are in that right spiritual area in their heart.
Absolutely. I know that they're all over the forest.
Yes, they are. Yes, I go camping out towards behind my father's property quite a bit, and there's still areas back there. I say back there, meaning here in Oklahoma, where I grew up. Actually, the foothills of the Ozark Mountains that come into Oklahoma from Arkansas, and there are areas left back there that still are very, very remote. And a lot of people I've taken back there have always told me that there's something that they feel. And then sometimes maybe the next day you wake up and you're fixing breakfast and drinking coffee or something. They say, we thought we heard some people walking by last night. They were talking. And I told them that was the little people. They have a trail right next to us, and they were walking by at night, probably going to some other area. And then you have to kind of explain to them exactly how all that works, How come they just didn't stop, Well, they're not like that. Some little people do not like to be in other words, messed with, or they don't even like to be around people.
Right, they don't want to be seen.
They don't want to be seen, but to make a point, or for them to get you to do to know something, they will make a sound. Sometimes they can turn themselves into like deer, and walk right by your campsite as a deer.
Absolutely. You just like shape-shifting, moving around.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But it's a very spiritual place out there. I usually set up a teepee out there. I've camped out there in the winter months before. A lot of times I'm out there Christmas while it's sleeting and snowing into New Year, just for the spirituality of the area. And that's how I get inspired when I come home back to the studio. I have a whole new spiritual being that I collected into myself from out there. It renews you. It revives you spiritually. A lot of people would not think that way. They say, "My God, how can you stand to be miserable out there?" etc. But that's not the point.
No, it's beautiful out in the woods. Spend some time in that solitude, even though you're not alone. There's so much.
That's right. You're never alone, and one of the best time is when it's a new moon. Not a new moon. I mean, when it's a full moon, when it's almost like daylight out there, and you don't want to sleep inside a tent. Maybe you make your bed outside where you can see the stars, the full moon, and hear the wild things out in the woods, and listen to to the creek flowing right next to you and listen to it talk. You'd be surprised how much of a talker water is. It sounds like a chicken house, a bunch of chickens clucking. I mean, it's almost like a whole conversation of a bunch of people going. If you listen real close, every once in a while you can almost hear a sentence going on. And then if you look even listen even deeper, you've heard of the talking trees, rubbing together.
Mm-hmm.
You hear plenty of that out there. And then a lot of times there will be wind that would come through some of the little valleys, and just one little stick of wind and no wind anywhere else, and blow through some of the thickets and the limbs and the trees, and just that alone you can hear talking.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just amazing out there, and like you said, the trees themselves have their own language, and then you look up and there's so many birds, and then the water speaking, and then where I was, I could hear the crickles in the grass, and I happened to be next to an ant farm, and I just would watch them and just like how they work so well together. And
oh yes, it's just amazing how nature planned all of this so beautifully. If you just only take the time to look, and even sometimes ask that rock that you're looking at if you can turn him over and look what he's covering up. What do you don't want me to see? And you'll know it if it's okay to do that or not, because sometimes you don't feel good about turning over big rocks because there might be something laying under there that you don't want. It might jump out at you. But sometimes you can turn over a rock and you'd be surprised what that rock is covering up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. As long as I figure, as long as there's no like real big hole next to the rock, you're safe.
Oh yeah. Those you want to stay away from. Yes, the things of that sort is what inspires me with my work. Also, a lot of stories from the elders growing up. My grandfathers and my grandmothers. They all had kind of like medicine woman, medicine man levels, and also my grandfathers were holy men. They helped a lot of people through sickness, and then also a lot of times for people just looking for some good advice. They would always come to my grandparents' house, and then also other elders that I grew up around who were holy men for our ceremonial grounds. We are 7 clans of Cherokee, even though we all speak the same language. In Cherokee languages, you say that there are 7 different kinds of Cherokee, and that's all it means. It's just 7 different clans. And I'm from a Wolf clan, and some of my other relatives are Deer Clan, Red, Wild Potato Clan, Long Hair clans, etc. Some of them, the clans were healers, medicine makers, and then some of the ones battled a lot of the unclean spirits that other people who might dabble in to make you sick. Like they would send something. They would conjure up something and send it over to you to either steal your soul so they could live a lot longer and make you really ill. And that's when a lot of a lot of the more powerful medicine men, holy men came in and battled these kind of spirits. Also, both of my grandfathers, they were ravens. A lot of people misunderstand the raven mockers. Yes, there are raven mockers. Huh?
Oh, I'm still listening.
Yes, there are raven mockers who made a bad name for themselves only because they got greedy and also just wanted to go out and hurt people and not help them. And they're the ones that made the good raven mockers their names given them a bad name, and then books were written about them from people who never grew up around these things. I grew up watching these. Both my grandfathers were raven mockers. I've seen nothing but good work coming out of them. There were always people at their houses looking for medicine, for help, and they never charged a thing for their help. A lot of times, just a good thank you from the heart was the most powerful thing that you could give of yourself, was what my grandfather used to say. He said, that thank you that man gave me, he said, that's the most powerful thing that came from him, because that's all he has is his word from his soul thanking me for helping him. And he would, sometimes he'd have something in his hand after treating him. He'd say, and I've got this evil one in my hand, and he said, I want to take care of him for him. They were very powerful, but they were not all bad like some people have written about them as being nothing but bad. I've seen nothing but good work come out of the ones that I knew.
Yeah, and I think majority of people don't realize that the medicine people of Turtle Island and really what they were all about. They were the first ones attacked. When we'll just say those bad spirits arrived here, and so I think that by what your explanation, what you just shared with us, is important for people to hear.
It's important that a lot of people who and I admire people who can go out and try to put in books or to tell stories about things that they learn. Let me use the word as a Johnny-come-lately, But even though they may be of tribe, but a lot of them did not grow up like that. They grew up speaking English, and they started learning again at a later time after they had time to get educated in more in the non-Indian world, which is fine. I'm a big I hold education at a very high premium, and I think that's very important. But a lot of times when they go out and write books about what they didn't grow up around and just interpreted from other people who may not have even grew up around that themselves, I think that kind of misleads some people in that way. I grew up speaking my language. That was my first language. I grew up watching all of these Indian ways, traditions, the culture growing up. And I don't have a high level of education, but I went out into the world and and picked that up as I went along.
Yeah, and a lot of times, just what had happened here, kind of for a lot of indigenous folks, they're trying to find their way back.
Yes, and I admire that because a long time ago, I just want to call him Jasper. I'm not going to say the last name. He was a holy man, and I think the Creator, he taught me things that a lot of people my age, the Cherokees, don't even know. He said someday people are going to look for these things, but he said but by then there'll already be dead Cherokees walking around who don't know. And I always thought about that. What did he mean by dead Cherokees walking around? I thought, buried in the ground and they're going to get back out, But what he meant by that was dead in knowledge, because they would not have known anything about the tradition, the culture, even though that they might be indigenous themselves, and but nobody's left now to tell them exactly what it was back then. And he said that a full-blood Cherokee would be walking over here, but he'll just be alive and breathing with no knowledge of his own background. And it took me years to kind of think that through, what he meant by that. And a lot of people today seem like that they are thirsty for the knowledge now, but look at all the wrong things that are out there. Some people have mixed in with other things, and I don't want to put a label on some, but they'll throw in some European things onto the Cherokee ways, and while saying that this is what Indians really did, and they know nothing about Indians.
Right. You make a very strong point. I know I have an uncle that he looks at me and goes, they don't do it this way anymore. Are you paying attention?
Yeah.
Are you paying attention? Because what you're saying is so true. There's a lot of the, I call them the old ones, that really understood. I can just say myself, I feel connected to the earth, but there's different ways of being connected. Like, I have uncles that have never been unplugged from it.
Yes.
And because I didn't grow up with it, and I'm coming back into that fold. There's different levels, and those folks that are truly never walked. I didn't walk away. I had no choice. But a lot of us didn't have any choices. But the ones that really stuck with the tradition, there are very few of them that are still walking on the Mother Earth right now. And and for me, whenever I'm around them, I'm so thankful and I feel so blessed.
The sad thing about it is that someday they're not going to be around. And I hope that while they're still here, that somebody will get as much knowledge and information as they can, so that it can continue to teach those who are hungry for that kind of knowledge. Even you and I are going to be elders someday. We both have some sort of knowledge about certain things that we grew up around with that a lot of people don't even know.
Absolutely. And I just, like you were saying, I'm grateful that those are the ones they're still here, and I love being able just to sit with them and hear and just know that what they're giving me. I have another brother. He's like, no shortcuts.
Yes.
Here you go. Here you go. This is the way it is, and this is and I know because there's never been what I call a disturbance in the lineage.
Yes. One of the most beautiful things is like other cultures. I've been around the world many times, and I have met indigenous people who are really totally true indigenous from their own area, their country, where they have respect for the elders, total, utmost, without question respect for their elders, and the respect that they show them was the most beautiful, the most heartfelt. It made you emotional. I was very envious. It made me so envious to see that, the respect that they were given their elders.
Yeah. It's I think that as because there's two nations inside. Well, there's many nations inside this one nation, but the nation called America has lost that. Their story and how to treat the elders and how to truly walk on Mother Earth, and that's where what you're talking about, the hunger, comes from.
Yes. That a lot of these things that we're kind of touching, I could go on for a long time, and even and beyond. Grandfather used to tell me when we're finished with this world, he said there's 6 more to go. He said there are 7 heavens, and he said depending on what you did this time determines which level you're going to after you are finished with this one. And he said that one at the 7th level is the one you want to reach for.
Absolutely. And so, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, and there is a place called a Great Mystery. That's the best way. That's the best way I can describe it right now, because a lot of people have said that they have seen some of the Great Mystery for a little bit and experienced it, and have said that it's a beautiful place. I've experienced it twice now, and there is a beautiful place to go to, and it's a place where without question, something. I don't want to say he's got a long-haired beard and a staff, but something lives there and loves you unconditionally. That unconditional caring is the most beautiful feeling.
And for me, that what you're talking about, I feel that the old ones, the ancestors of the world, indigenous from all 4 corners, when they lived and they do live in that traditional way, they're in that what I call that frequency.
Yeah,
they live and breathe it, and
yes,
that love, because and getting back to your art, like you can see it, the reverence for the earth, for life, for humans.
I have incorporated a lot of that, in some of my artwork. Some I've done just for humor's sake,
Well, yeah, we are funny after all, I take the bus every day, and I just look at myself, and I look at my hands, and I start laughing. I'm going, humans are really funny.
Not long ago, I've done planes type themes, And then, of course, my background, which am a woodland origin, and I had to start off with a plains type approach years ago, and people were saying, "Well, he's full-blood Cherokee. Why come he's not doing Cherokee things? He's doing Plains Indians." Well, that's true, because back at the time when I started, when Indian art was becoming popularized, and being more something that people became aware of, they thought Indians, like you see on the TV and the movies, they ride horses, they live in tipis, they wear feathers in their hair,
Yeah.
They ride out in the plains chasing buffaloes. That's what people wanted to see. When I tried the woodlands approach, people did not really recognize Cherokees as being Indian. Where's their feathers? Where's their horses? How come they're not chasing buffaloes?
Yeah, but you.
That's not what woodland Indians did. We had buffalo back in the east. They were called woodland buffaloes, but they were a lot smaller than the plains type buffaloes in the out in the western plains. But I had to stay with more plains type themes, even though I did not tribalize. That was one thing that I promised myself, was that I will not tribalize any of my images, because I do not know that much, or enough, I should say. I do not know enough or that much about each plains tribe to say this is a certain tribe, because I may be wrong. So I would just tell people this is what a lot of the Plains Indians did. And it was accepted, because people wanted to see the long hair, the feathers, and the buffalo, and riding the horses, until this sort of a reawakening more of in a tribalistic area started. I think it was going towards near the end of the 80s, when people started wanting more traditional tribal things, That's when I started doing a lot more Cherokee type themes, and graduated into it, and people just suddenly they had no problem with it, and some people would come by and say, "Hey, I remember when you used to do these plains type themes,
Yeah, but I know just from following your work myself that you've helped educate the folks out there. First, that the Native people are still here, and so I think that in itself is really important. And that you did, bring into, I think anyways, when I look at your work, all different nations, and you portrayed them really well.
Well, thank you very much. That means a lot to hear that. Thank you. Oh yeah. By the way, we have a really good friend who that lives near your area. He's one of the finest artists I have ever had the pleasure of meeting, and you may know him, Peter Boone.
Yeah, I just was talking with Peter a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay. I think he's going to be over here in this area shortly. If my information's right, we might try to get him to stay over here with us while he's in the area. Maybe he and I can share something together, maybe do a painting together or something.
I bet he would love that. And we also have another mutual friend. I don't know if you know Brian Larney.
Yes, Brian. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the guy.
Yeah, we went to school. I went to school with him in Fort Lauderdale, and so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't seen him in a little while though. I know he stays busy a lot. Fine artist.
Yeah.
He has really paid his dues and became just one of the finest artists I know.
Yeah, both, all three are awesome. Yeah, everybody should check them all out. And we got about 10 minutes for sharing. I just really appreciate you taking time, and like I said, I've been a big fan for over 20 years, and I just what I also love, Donald, is that your work. I know you have some real expensive stuff, but you have a lot of really amazing, affordable artwork for folks, and I think that's amazing. That people can have a piece of amazing quality artwork.
We have a fairly good-sized fan base around in your area, and then some of the surrounding states there too. And then we try to help people collect our work. These are the days of kind of economic times is not smiling at us, and a lot of people out there who dearly love my work. We try to work with them to make it to a point where it's comfortable for them to own some of my either originals or some of the prints or posters that we've published over the years. And we can do that now because we do our own printing. We have our own setup now, and we specialize in G-clays now. And to me, G-clays is a different method of printing. I'm sure you know about that. Anyway, I think really enhances offset lithography.
Cool. And so people can go to donaldvann.com, and you have there's a lot of information on the webpage, and people can view the artwork. There's a little thing about the artist yourself, and I know there's a video on there. Is there anything else that I'm missing?
Well, let's see. To kind of toot my own horn, I was announced as a Cherokee Nation national treasure just a couple of weeks ago, and then also I was awarded a Distinguished Service Awards from my military days, also too, from the tribe, and so that meant a lot.
Absolutely, and congratulations on both.
Oh, thank you. And then, like I said, you can always, or they can always look at us. They're at donaldvann.com. Our company name is Donald Vann Company, but either one works up there.
Yeah, and I would say if you just Google Donald Vann, and you'll come right to his page. It's the first one pops up. And
also, too, I'd like to apologize for getting a slow start. I had that echo in the background, and I was hearing myself kind of talking and not hearing the questions too well. So let me apologize for that. I was a little slow going there. Now that it's gone, I'll turn into a ratchet jaw and can't shut me up.
No, I'm. You're no apologies needed. Sometimes we have I don't know what it is. A little feedback.
Yes. But I just absolutely, just thoroughly and immensely just enjoyed the interview, and then also talking to you again back in the Fort Lauderdale days. Gosh, that was many years ago, back when we were teenagers, I believe.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I always, when the power would come down, I always look for your booth, and so I was always excited because you usually came to Fort Lauderdale.
Yes. Anyway, those were fun times there, and hopefully that we can get to see you again somewhere along the way. If you're in Tahlequah, you know our number.
All right. And again, I appreciate you giving us a little chat visit tonight, and keep us posted on what you're doing and how people where you're going to be next. Where are you going to be next?
It's posted up on our website of events to come, which is the next one will be over just up the road about 40 minutes from here in Catoosa, right outside of Tulsa. The Hard Rock Casino that the Cherokees own over there. We usually have a annual a show over there, and if anybody listening in can make it or might be around during that time, let's see, I think it's October 3rd.
Yes, it says the 12th and the 13th.
Yes, the weekend anyway.
Yeah.
Come on by and talk to us. We love people. We will be happy to spend a little time with them.
Yeah. So again, thanks for sharing with us this evening.
And I enjoyed it immensely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you have a beautiful evening, and please keep in touch.
I will do that, and then goodbye.
All right, take care.
All right, goodbye.
Bye. And this is Chaos, KAOS 89.3 FM in Olympia. This is Make No Bones About It. It's Raven Redbone, and we just were speaking with Donald Vann. And again, check him out, www.donaldvann.com, and it's 2 N's. And yeah, it's been a long time. When I used to live in Fort Lauderdale and actually in Texas, I've seen him a couple times, and really enjoyed sitting with him at his booth and having a cup of coffee and hearing about his art. Really amazing fellow, and really enjoyed what he had to say. Thanks for listening. This is Chaos Radio.